So welcome everybody to World of Careers, Steve 2.0, New Year 2024. Let's go. I'm pretty excited. I reckon there's a lot of money to be made this year. I know it's possible. It's highly possible that I say that every year. But let's look at the fundamentals, shall we? 160,000 net immigration, relaxing of the loan to value ratio restrictions, lowering of interest rates. Surely we are in for some sort of a boom. I reckon we're in for a push. And that's why I'm on this webinar that we are recording and putting into the app for you if you want to use it later as well. We are talking about how to get agents on your side, because it's the very, very first part of the global puzzle. And so the person that I've dragged out of obscure semi-retirement this evening is Mr. Shane Carruthers. Shane, welcome. Cheers for coming.
Thanks for inviting me.
I've
Yeah,
didn't we made you do it?
Yeah, I've just been waiting for the call. Yeah, finally.
For those of you that don't know, Shane is one of my best friends and a great dude and a great real estate agent, and also a previous client of mine from about 55 years ago. And Shane used to live in Wellington here with me and was coaching with me in Wellington, and we ran around to a lot of property deals and bits and pieces, and he moved to Auckland. How long have you been in Auckland now? A dozen years?
12 years. Yeah.
12 years, crazy. And Shane's been lining it up in Auckland, sort of having a real estate agency and a license to be a licensed real estate agent, but also finding, negotiating and navigating his own trades and his own deals and doing his own margining as well. So you've kind of been double dipping and doing the best of both worlds, and it's made you, in my opinion, one of the best, well, at least most profitable traders in the country, really. So, it keeps you really, really busy, but also it's given you some really interesting skills in how to talk to real estate agents, how to negotiate with agents, and how to do tricky deals and keep everybody's calm head on it so till the money's in the bank. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've been doing now, and on both as being a buyer and being a seller and being an agent, being a trader, renovating, selling, double settlement, all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, so I can sort of navigate a deal because I sort of understand a lot of what's going on for each party.
Yep. And obviously, the first part of that realistically is, when I've made really great money in real estate, when I've made a decent profit or banked a really good amount of cash, normally the first thing that's happened is I've dealt with, had a phone call from a real estate agent. So much as I like to complain about real estate agents being painful, then just before I get paid, one has been involved. And I like the idea of collecting the good ones and still working with the less than good ones, because they are useful as well. And so tonight we thought we'd just, bounce through and talk about, what happens and how it goes on. So I asked you earlier this afternoon to sort of come up with like a success story. So is there any particular deal that you can think of where an agent rang you or an agent added extra value based on your relationship with them, that you'd already sort of had them marinating for a while?
Yeah, heaps of examples of that. Multiple stuff out in South Auckland where agents will call you and know that you'll move quickly and just either a yes or a no. A lot of times they weren't on the market yet, but they were due to be listed. We've sort of taken the property on and gone unconditional and then also resold it back through them. Yeah. So it's sort of a win-win for them, and it was a very easy process for me, and easy for the agent and good for the vendor too, because the vendor didn't necessarily want the whole mechanics of a full campaign and marketing and photos and stuff like that. So it worked quite seamlessly, but that took a long time to build. That relationship for them to understand that, that I would say yes or no and that I would do what I said I was going to do.
Yeah.
and you need that in all locations that you're looking. You need multiple agents that consider be looking for deals for you, because you can't be everywhere. And by the time they're on Trade Me, especially this year, once stuff at Trade Me already pretty well viewed.
Yeah.
So you really want to get ahead of that, before it gets listed. Even if it does eventually get listed, at least you've had a preview.
And how are you creating those relationships with agents? Because obviously, if you were one of my clients, for instance, who's decided that there's a particular suburb that they think would suit them, and they want to go into that suburb, and they don't know the agents or the agencies, how would you create those relationships with people?
Well, just initially, like you are, just going through Trade Me or other websites, and then just talking to the agent, but actually having a proper conversation. And then when you meet with them, if the property they're showing you works, then you let them know that this is the sort of stuff that you do regularly. And if it isn't, then just say, my criteria is slightly different to this property.
Yeah.
Would you be open to letting me know if you had something that was slightly larger size? This one is renovated. I actually need it to be sort of a bit more beaten up so I can add some value.
Yeah.
So just really, a normal conversation with them, but just letting them know what you need, but not sort of over-promising, not sort of saying, I've got to do 10 deals a month and we've got unlimited cash and stuff like that. Just be honest and just say, look, one deal at a time. But, and that's going to work well for the agent, because he can then go back to the vendor and say, I've got this qualified buyer. They're ready to go. They've got finance in place. Yeah, so it can really be a win-win. So it's just having conversations, and not doing what most people do, which is sort of thinking that they need to sort of bag the property or sort of, condition the agent that the place is knackered and stuff like that, which as an agent, it just doesn't work. It just it is annoying, because you'd be better to come to the conversation and just say, this is where I see the value for me to make a margin or for me to own it. And that's all you need to say. You don't need to get into a conversation about, because it's just going to sort of, the agent's going to push back, and then you can end up a conversation about the property. It was really just you want to build that rapport and build a relationship.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing. And I think that, like, the more times you ring up a new or a fresh agent, and earnestly tell them your story. I'm looking for stuff that's cash flow positive. I'm happy to do some work. I don't want empty sections. I don't want new builds. I don't want commercial. I want residential properties that I can add value to, that have some form of motivation in them. The more times you can have that conversation with as many agents as possible, and then have a huge pile of agents out there that are, trying to find you the thing that you're looking for. So the instance I had last week is just down the road here from me, like about 2 streets away. A really big reno came up, and it's pretty nasty. And so every agent in that agency starts going, who does big renos? Oh, Steve. So I got 4 phone calls from different agents within that agency about that one property. And so, in your region, you want to be that guy that they call when they've got that property. So the more times you can tell your story and what you're after to the most number of agents as possible, the more you're going to have, the more you're going to have more contacts with these people, and you're going to have more deals thrown on you as early as possible. Because those 4 agents, I will deal with the first one, and the next 3 get told, look, I've already been quoted that property. I'm dealing with somebody. So they're then motivated to bring stuff to me as quickly and as humanly possible. And normally that means you're getting a contact call from the listing agent, which is fresh information, which I'm always after as well.
Yeah, and you want to make you want to build rapport with the agent. So you don't do that by sort of being aggressive and thinking that you need to come in and negotiate hard. Your best thing is to just be your authentic self, be genuine, and less is more, and so if you make the process easy, for the agent, they're going to think of you when something comes up, because they're going to go, well, shit, I'll just call Steve. Like, he's easy to deal with. He's just a yes or a no. And even if he's a no, he probably gives me some advice on who else it could suit. Whereas if you're a guy that's constantly like, harder to work with, then you do initially think, oh, I guess I could contact that guy, but I think it's going to be, a long road to get down that. So, yeah. So.
And I think authentic is the word. You just always be, basically always telling the truth. Look, I'm excited about this property. I really want it. I want to put an offer in. What's it going to cost me? How, all that sort of stuff. Or I'm a bit on the fence. Will you present an offer that's below what their expectation is? Or even, hey, look, I'm out because I'm not looking for a project that's going to take me 12 months to rebuild. I want something that's a little bit more on the cosmetic side, because you're always giving them more information about what it is that they should bring to you. One of the things I've written down is ABB, always be buying. Never, ever speak to a investor and say, look, I'm out of the market at the moment, because the best deal you've ever seen might come along 10 minutes later and you miss out on it because that's what...
And you can just find someone else for that deal. And that's the power of being a part of this group that you've got, is that actually there will be times where you can't be buying, but if a great deal turns up, you'll find a buyer for it if it's a good deal. Yeah.
And my success story here, I suppose, is my Waioni Street property at Petone, which is now an 11-bedroom boarding house. And I just got my statement from my property manager today for the last fortnight. And the last fortnight, it returned me $5,600 for the fortnight after management fees, maintenance, electricity, internet, all the bits that I pay for. And that means that it's a little over $1,200 per week cash flow positive. And the only reason that agent brought that to me is because I dealt with her for about 15 years. I bought 4 or 5 properties off her, sold a couple of properties through her, and she knew I loved boarding houses in Petone. And so she found a 3-bedroom house, which I would have never searched on TradeMe myself, but was a 3-bedroom house, 310 square meters. And I would have never seen it. And I paid $60 for it, and it's now valued at 1.65, and it pays me just a crap load of money every week. And if I could find 10 more of them, I would be Steve, the retired guy right now, because that was just a mystical deal. So setting up those situations where a lot of agents know who you are and know what you're looking for by having those conversations every single week pays dividends year on year. So next we've got like some 7 key tips, and I've got some tips, Shane's got some tips, and we've got some tips on slides too. So let's bang through the slides ones first, and then we'll go back and forth a bit and we'll see which ones we agree with, disagree with. See through the agent's eyes, mutual goals. Absolutely. Most agents are commission-based. Most agents have to pack their own lunch if they're not made a commission that month. Don't waste agents' time. Be easy to deal with. Agree with that one, Shane?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's a matter of just seeing it from their side, which is always a negotiation, regardless whether you're dealing with an agent. If you can go into any sort of negotiation, being able to see it from the other person's side, going to help you to navigate it well. And that could be even, around setting your contracts up for deposit. So you want to shoot in there with like a 5K deposit, but maybe if you want to build a relationship, you work out the agent's commission is going to be about 20. So you just make it 20. And even though the agent has a responsibility to present or offers, it's certainly going to be a better offer for everyone if they know they're going to easily be paid at unconditional. So it's little things like that, just actually thinking about it. You don't have to do that, but it would make a difference for a long-term relationship if you've got the sufficient funds to do that. Yeah.
Invest time. Take time to build a relationship. It's not a one-night stand. Nice. Good analogy. My feeling on this is normally most people are trying to fish in a pool that's, say, 3 or 4 or 5 suburbs, and there might be 4 major agencies in that area, and there might be 2 agents per agency that lists the type of deals that you're interested in looking at. And it's always worth sort of pulling them out when they're not busy and actually going to a cafe and buying them a coffee and explaining who you are and what you're doing and having that rapport building moments and creating a business relationship with them so that you are memorable to them. And, one of the things I've got on the list here too is get on their mailing list. Be the first person to see the deals come out by being on their mailing list. Even if you've got it all going to a spam account, and then whenever you want to start looking for properties, you go through the spam account or the side account, get on everybody's mailing list, see what's going on, and it will help you with your market knowledge as well. Trust building, credibility matters. Do what you say and say what you do. If you get excited about a property and intend to put an offer on it and tell the agent so, and they send you all of the documentation, they've spent some time putting their documentation together, sending it to you, typing up a quick email. Don't ghost them. If you change your mind, tell them why you changed your mind, and tell them why it is you're not going to be offering on that property, and tell them if you want to be kept in touch with any more properties like that or that particular property in future. Just have that credibility, because I'm going to out Shane here a little bit. Shane's got a really decent database, and he deals with a huge amount of people, and then he deals with a small amount of people that he enjoys and likes dealing with because they have credibility and they have his trust. And it might only be, 100 people in a database of 15,000. And that's because they've contacted him, they've been trustworthy, and they've done what they said they were going to do. And they become, reliable favorite clients of an agent or an agency. And your rapport and your reputation in that agency or to those agents means everything. Trust me. You agree with that, Shane?
Yeah, exactly. So you just want to, if you get presented with a deal, it's okay to say no to a deal. You don't they don't say, oh, let me have a look at it. If it's just a no, just be like, yeah, no, this doesn't suit me, but let me know.
Tell them why.
Or if it does suit, just like I had a Dunedin property that I sold. That was a massive 3-level one, and the guy was just really straightforward. He was just like, I need it to be 13% yield, and that's what I'm buying it for, and didn't care about any of the other stuff, any of the sales stuff. That was just his buying rules. So we just worked the deal to make that happen. And if it wasn't at that level, then we would have just carried on and found something else. So it was just a very simple process, and he was just honest with me as to what he wanted. Whether that property could work or not, at least I knew, okay, this is the value that's got. And once he did it, was just unco. Paid. So, it was a very...
Makes everything else easier, yeah. Trying to collaborate win-win negotiations. Now, this comes down to negotiation techniques, and my favorite thing is price versus terms. Everybody concentrates on the price all the time, and it's the main governing factor for most vendors who are selling, and they forget or they ignore or they don't put anywhere as near as much weight into the terms of the transaction. And so I always like mucking around with settlement, access, what's included, what's not included, how big the deposit is sometimes, all sorts of different things. And Shane and I have a couple of good friends, Simon and Della, who just bought a beach house in Otaki, and they saw it at the open home last Thursday, and they moved in today. How do they do that? They put an okay price down with instant settlement, paid in cash straight away, bang, done. Nobody does that. So the property went on the market, vacant, settled, was paid for, and the people moved into it in under a week. All sorts of things are possible. The easiest way to do these win negotiations is say to the agent, what does the vendor need? What can I do to make it easier for them? What are they after? What's their motivation? Ask the question,
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, you've got to look at all parts of that contract, and that comes down to actually that conversation with the agent just straight away, just saying, does the vendor need exit straight away? And they're like, yeah, they do. They're moving to, so an early settlement would be preferable. So if you didn't know that information, then you're trying to battle around on a price, whereas actually you could just go in with a lower price, but settlement in 4 days. and then that's their hurt point. So they're going to navigate towards that, and they're going to say there's less than what we want, but we run the risk now of trying to wait for a slightly better offer that's then going to want a 2-month settlement, and it's like we're literally getting on the plane. So you're 100% right. Yeah, you got to move all of those deposit, settlement, early access, just all of that sort of stuff. All parts of that are important, not just the price. Yeah,
for sure. Ethics and professionalism. Now, this one I've had some issues with in the past where I've had friends or clients do things that were not particularly unethical, but definitely unprofessional or pushing the boundary a little bit too far. And you only get one reputation, and everybody ends up with the reputation they deserve on a long enough timeline. And I know that from my property tutors days when we used to buy a couple 100 houses a year with like 90 clients all around Wellington, Lower Hutt, Upper Hutt, Porirua, that we had a reputation for lowballing, which is fine. It is what it is. But we also had a reputation for settling everything we went unconditional on, relisting with the same agencies, trying to deal with the listing agent wherever we possibly could. And it's never too soon or too late, really, to work on your reputation and your ethics within your industry, because if you piss an agent off, and trust me, I have, I mean, it's my natural default to piss people off, and I don't try to do it, but like I've definitely pissed a few agents off in my time. And that agent goes back to their office and they have a marketing meeting, and all of the agents are sitting there with a marketing manager, and they go, oh, Steve Goodey did blah, 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 blah. And they hear one side of the story, and suddenly, through either bad ethics, bad professionalism, or lack of communication, you become the bad guy in someone else's story. They never get to hear your side of the story. You don't get any feedback at all. And another agent 2 years later goes, oh, you're that Steve Goodey guy, I'm going to not be very helpful to you or something. And so we as a group need to combat against that and, have communication, ethics, and professionalism. Not hard to figure that one out. Adopt and thrive for agent feedback. And remember that you're interviewing every agent every time you speak to them. Now, I've dealt with some super, super dingbat agents who I still deal with to this day because they're easy. It's like the McDonald's drive-through. They will get the process and the transaction done and completed. I've also got maybe half a dozen agents nationwide that I actually trust when I ask them about sales figures and numbers and data. Figure out which is which and who is who, and obviously work with the smart ones to sell, and work with the, let's say, ones who may need a little bit more training when you're buying. There's also agents I think super valuable. I'm sure you've met both, Shade.
Yeah, you did the two completely different agents. You got an agent that you buy off who is not necessarily very good at their job, maybe not a great negotiator, very new, maybe has a mortgage to pay, or the gearbox is just blowing out on the Subaru and they need commission. So they're the people to buy for. And then you've got a top agent who just smashes it out of the park, that that if you list with them, that they're going to get you the best price, they're going to negotiate hard for you. And a lot of that stuff is obvious at the beginning, because when you have the interaction with them, you can see how they interact with you. That's how they interact with everyone else. So especially if you were listing a property with an agent and you said, oh, is there any movement on the commission? And they're just like, yeah, what do you want to do? Like, that may sound impressive because you might save $5,000 on commission, but you want someone that pushes back and says, well, at this stage, I don't negotiate because, I've got the skills, I've got the contacts, and I'm going to get the best price. So, that's what you want, because when they're talking to a purchaser, they're not going to push very hard for them to get the price up. You want an agent that gets a shit offer and actually just, even before it goes to the vendor, to say, hey, can we have a chat about this before we present it, because it's below what I know the vendor needs.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Who lives in Lower Hutt, who sells 160, 170 houses a year. It's Shane Brocklebank, right? Do you know what he does to me? he throws it back on me. It's really, really good. And it's a great technique. He goes, let's put in 3% commission for now. You tell me what you're comfortable with when I get you the number you want.
Yeah, exactly. As you said, if an agent's going to do something for a 1%, like, that there's a reason for that.
You ask for what the job is.
Yeah, because they don't have the skills to require that sort of a price point. Then the top agents do, and there's a reason for it. And as soon as you talk to them that they just have a certain way of dealing with people. You love that. It's all part of the process.
And obviously remember that real estate agents predominantly are pretty much entirely self-employed, and they normally take Monday, Tuesday off. That's their weekend. They do open homes all week. So, be realistic. Hey, some of them. Don't waste their time. Like, ring them up. And my favorite one is, hey, you got a moment to talk. Let them say no. Don't ring them up just to have a loosey-goosey chat. Hey, I've got this property I'm interested in. What can you tell me about it? You guys all heard the stories and the way that we talk about and move through different property deals and stuff. These guys are self-employed. We want to find/interview a good one and deal with them again and again. So let's make them some money and a couple of commissions so they make us some money and bring us some really good deals and stuff as well. And the other things that I've written down, because I did my own little list as well, was ABB, always be buying. Never tell an agent that you're not in the market at the moment. Build trust and rapport. I've talked about this many, many times with negotiations. Trust and rapport is the golden goose. I've got real estate agents that I've dealt with for, over 20 years, but I've also got agents that I've dealt with for 6 months who know who and what I am and have Googled me and watched some of my stuff. And you don't have that advantage sometimes. So you need to earnestly speak to an agent and tell them your story and tell them what you're up for. Open up your buying criteria quite wide, because you don't particularly want the real estate agent putting brackets on what they think you want. You want to say yes or no to it yourself. As I said earlier, get on the mailing list. Choose and know your suburbs. Touch base with your premium agents often. I've been at times flat out busy with a whole pile of trades and projects and renos, and then had to ring around a whole pile of agents and say, have you got anything interesting at the moment? Because I haven't seen anything popping up. And, keep on them that way. And work with the agents to bring you the deals. Honestly, the agent you bought off last time is the most likely person to want to work with you again and do another deal with you, particularly if you give them the benefit of listing with them and letting them sell for you as well. We're open for questions now. Shane, I understand you had a bit of a list as well. What was on your 7 that we haven't covered so far?
Yeah, a lot of them we did cover. One of the ones I had is have agents in each location who understand the type of property you need. So if you're looking in multiple locations, it would make sense to have a few agents in each location. Be quick to respond to deals that are sent to you, even if it's a no. Yeah. That will get you a lot more calls. Or if it's a no, then it's like, yeah, but I need this. And then I can guarantee the agent will go look for that. This one's quite important. Do your research so when a deal comes through, you know which price range you'd offer on it. That sort of ties in with being able to respond quicker. And that's not going to happen immediately, so it may well take, a good 6 months to be a sort of a bit of an expert in that location, but that will certainly help straight away for you to say, look, you advertise it for 800, but there's 3 or 4 others that are sold for 650. I'd be in at 600 and it would be a clean offer. I'm going to renovate it and I'll bring it back to you and maybe we can sell it for 850. Understand that the agents prefer short, clear communication, which is what you covered off, so it's just a quick phone call to say what you're looking for, and that you're mortgage approved. That will go a long way. And probably the most important one, which was my first tip, is be in contact with agents and build relationships. Yeah. So probably the key one.
So to throw a tricky one at you, Shane, if I was looking at a property and the agent was quoting 1.25 million and it only made bank for me if I could get it for 900,000, how would you handle that? How would you handle looking a vendor's expectation and an agent's expectation backwards that much?
So it depends on whether there is some comparable sales around that level. If there isn't, it doesn't mean that you can't still do a deal on that. I think it would just come back to making it as clean an offer as possible. So you're changing the conversation away from the price. So, the 1.2 is not going to happen. It's going to be 900. But, we can settle quickly, or we can settle late, but we'll pay a deposit and we'll have early access and we'll start renovating it. So, there's very little risk to the owner, because the worst case, if it doesn't settle, they've got a renovated house. So it's just really, it comes down to just communicating what you need, and being concise about that. So not saying, the reason I'm doing 900 is because this place is a piece of shit, and that, all these issues and there's consent issues and all of that, because the agent's just going to shut down and think time wasted. So you just got to go and clean and say, this is where it works for me. I understand that it's below what they want, but I can do a clean deal. That would be your best approach. Yeah.
Cool. No, love it. Awesome. If anybody's got any questions, just type them in here and we'll cover them at the end here. So the next thing I would say is what next for these clients that are listening to this at the moment? Like, it's the beginning of the year. I know everybody wants to get into some deals. The market has warmed up considerably. There's a lot more January, February listings coming on the market. So there's a lot more houses nationwide to look at. I think that the minimum expectation should be that everybody gets out there and next week has 3 conversations with real estate agents that they haven't spoken to before, at a very minimum. So I think that's the minimum requirement to sort of kick the year and get it started and get it sort of moving along is this week and possibly next week. Let's do 3 conversations with agents you've never spoken to before. In earnest, communicate properly and tell your story to people and tell them what you're looking for and what you're after. Get on their mailing list. Ask them to bring deals to you. When they do bring deals to you, evaluate the deal and go back to them with some feedback. And just, it's the whole story. If you're sitting in a dock with a fishing line, but the bait isn't in the water, you're not going to catch anything. You've actually got to put the line out there and actually see what you're going to get. So that's your homework, everybody, is to get out there and make 3 calls. Also, just wanted to do a quick heads up to all of our clients that the property bootcamp that we're going to do in March is now called Succeed in Property. It is a version of the Cashflow Bootcamp. We're going to rewrite a whole pile of it for the change in the market. I mentioned some of the stuff earlier on in the webinar with 160,000 net immigration, relaxing of loan to value ratio restrictions, banks wanting to make more market share and lower interest rate environment, and the fact that we've got quite obviously a warming of the market or quite a lot of a boom coming up. So this is going to be 17th of March in Eden Park. We use the same venue we did last time. If anybody wants to, we're going to sort of send out confirmations of bits and pieces. We're going to be asking a few clients to crew again. Any existing clients that want to come along and soak up the environment, more than welcome. And obviously, if you have friends and family who might want to be interested in learning some stuff about the property industry and what you're doing and what you're up to and stuff and things like that as well, then we've got a really massive discount deal for tickets for friends and family as well. Okay, we've got a question. Just to confirm, does clean deal have to include no finance clause? This gets tricky if you can only do the deal if you have to go and look for a JV partner first before unconditional. No, clean can be just quick or fast, or it doesn't have to be unconditional. But it means that you're not selling another property before you can commit to this one, or it possibly might mean that you won't need a full and complete building report, or it means as clean as possible while keeping yourself safe. Would you agree with that, Shane?
Yeah. The cleanest of the deal is not necessarily finance, because I think over the last couple of years, vendors and agents have come to accept that even if you do have a full finance approval, you can't just buy. Like, you need to still have at least a week or more to get it actually approved for that property. So it's just really around the communication of it. It's just saying, look, I'm in the process of getting finance. It's going to take a couple of weeks, but I'm confident it's going to go through. That's going to make it easier rather than doing a sell and purchase agreement with the finance condition, building inspection, met condition, then subject to solicitor's approval, subject to title. Like, just make it as clean as possible. So you know, if you are going to do all of those things as well, just put a DD clause in. So tell the agent that, look, I'm actually just need finance, but I'm just going to put a DD clause in. And then the contractor has a simple line in there around DD, and that's clean. What isn't clean is 2 pages of appendix of this is subject to. You know, when you see that, you just think it's paralysis by analysis. So even if you still want to do all of those things, and it would make sense to get a building report, you just do that as part of that. That's probably what a clean deal means. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're a cash buyer. It just means that the contract's clean, and the communication between the agent and the vendor is that these guys are pretty much ready to go. As with everyone, we've got to get financed, so let's give them a couple of weeks and, you know, see where we get to.
And if you could do it any cleaner than that and go, shit, like I really need 6 days, sometimes what you can do is ask for 3 days, which means that you get it under offer for 3 days and you've got your foot on it, and it kind of scares off anybody else's interest. And then you can ask for an extension at the end of those 3 days as well. So, you know, you do what you can.
Yeah. And it's also part of doing, that's also part of, you know, what we're talking about, of having multiple parts of that contract. Yeah, maybe that's how you negotiate. Maybe you go in and say, look, I need, you know, 3.5 weeks for finance. And then they'll go, well, we can't do that. I'd say, okay, well, I could probably bring that time down, but we'd need to move the price down a bit because I do have a partial pre-approval. So it's just using those variables sort of, get where you need to, or you have a settlement of 6 months. 6 months, finance 3 weeks, and then they're like, oh, we can't do anything. So, okay, well, I could bring the settlement back to 2 weeks, but the price would need to be this. So it's using those parts to really move the needle to where you need it to be.
Yeah. And also too, you know, if you need 3 weeks, you can also say, well, look, I need 3 weeks, but I'll give you 1 week cash out clause in there as well. So, you know, if you need to move that thing along a little quicker, you possibly can. Another quick question here for you, Shane, from Donovan and Julia. Hi guys, how you doing? Any specific feedback for dealing with agents who are marketing a property that's going to auction as opposed to negotiation?
Insofar as how to chat to the agent around indicative pricing, and is it worth me going to the auction, and, you know, or are you talking about maybe bringing an auction forward and getting them to accept your offer? Or
I don't really like bringing auctions forward. I don't think it gives us as much advantage as it used to.
No.
For my money, at least, when you're trying to purchase a property that's going to auction, normally the agents have done a lot more of the actual due diligence for you prior. So they'll quite often have a building report or a limb report or even sometimes a valuation available, because they want as many people to be unconditional by auction date as humanly possible. This is why I probably buy more deals by negotiation than I do by auction, because I hate competing with other people. Other people are awful. They'll pay more money than I will. And I much prefer to, so I suppose, go negotiation and then be able to just put my price and my terms and my details down without having to be unconditional like you have to with an auction. I think that's the main difference to me. If there's 10 people interested in the property and 6 of them put in an offer, that's one thing. But if it goes to auction, those 6 people that are keen to offer, it might only be 3 of them that actually put their hand up at auction because they can't get organised in time as well. So,
it's a matter of just making sure. Probably my feedback would be that you want to let the agent know that you are a genuine buyer and interested, and that's by touch points of being in contact. But you should never talk around price, because the agent will then use that to condition other people. So you should always say, look, I'm super interested, I love this property, send me through all the info, and then go, what's the price guide? Oh, it's 800, where do you see it? So look, I don't know, I've got to go through the paperwork and have a look and stuff. But if you were going to put a price in, just don't up to that sort of stuff, because what you don't want is that going round and then you get to auction and then everyone's been pushed up on the basis of that. So auction can still be a really good place to buy. But it can also be just a horrible place to buy. So I guess just go there, and once you've got the info, and if it's which is what me and Steve did with the house at the top of my street, we went there thinking if it goes to 2 mil, we'll do something. You know, went for 3, and we were like, oh, we'll go get dinner. You know, it doesn't really matter. So you got nothing to lose, because like you say, typically the agent's done all the duty for you. They've got a limb which you don't need to do. They often get a building report if it's a sort of house that may have issues or could have issues. They got title, they got rental appraisals, they got professional photos. So you're not really investing that much time and energy to go there and just see, look, if it falls over and no one turns up, we'll buy it.
Yep. I'm still a bit better about that house on top of your street. Definitely bought a knife to a gunfight that day.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. We didn't have a big enough wallet for that one, I don't think. But
no.
Yeah.
All good. Well, look, questions have kind of petered out. I think we've actually given quite a lot of information for a nice quick 40-minute webinar. Just want to thank Shane again for giving us half an hour, 40 minutes of your time on a Wednesday evening. And if anybody else has any other questions, chuck them on the Clients Premium Facebook page and we'll answer them later on. And obviously this has been recorded and it will be pop up on the app if you want to review any of the information. So what I heard from everybody equally was a challenge accepted to ring 3 agents this week and 3 agents next week that you haven't spoken to before. And we'll be doing more of these webinars and bringing you some more guest speakers and information and all sorts of bits and pieces. Big stuff planned for this year. Looking really forward to it. Really excited. And looking forward to seeing everybody in person next time I'm in the room with everybody as well. So thanks everybody for jumping on tonight, and looking forward to working with everybody this year. Cool. Thanks again, Shane. Cheers, mate.
Great. Thanks. Bye.